Hello, this is wmpyr. I was watching some videos on YouTube like I usually do, and this one guy, he was a martial arts hobbyist, and the kind of martial arts he was interested in is tactical self-defense, right? And so he's a hobbyist, he's not an instructor. And he was talking about real life self defense against a knife. So he was talking about his opinions, and there were some pretty strong opinions in there. And by the end of the video, I was like, wow, he has some very different ideas from me. And I'm not quite sure he's going to be all right in a real life situation or as all right as he thinks he is. So I thought that, a video talking about this kind of stuff would be useful for some other people who might have similar ideas as this guy. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with having different methods, different ideas, but the bottom line is you have to train it and you have to keep working on it and understand that there are different ways. I believe 100% that there's not just believe, I've experienced through my martial arts journey that there's many ways to climb to the top of the mountain. So there's not just one way, okay? So for me to go and say, you're wrong, dude, would be wrong, okay? That's not, how do I know? I don't even do his style. But if I see incompetence in his style, like, and he's just maybe experimented with a few people a little bit here and there, and then they're like, oh yeah, this is the way you defend, like they come to a very strong opinion solution. That's not crafting your art. Martial arts is in, I don't care if it's boxing, wrestling, or if it's something like Aikido or Sistema or whatever, you have to, it's a craft that you work on. Okay, so, someone who messed around with Sistema a week compared to someone who's been doing Sistema for years is not the same, obviously, so it's something that you got to craft, okay? So that's something that I want to very strongly emphasize. Now, so what I saw was that he played around a little bit and came to very strong immediate conclusions, which I can't agree with. All right. So one of the things that he thought was very important was against the guy that has a knife. He said, first of all, defending against that barehanded is in the world of fantasy. He says it's not possible. Okay. I strongly disagree with that. Why? Because for one, there's police video footage that you could see on YouTube where police officers with limited to no training were able to successfully subdue a bad guy with a knife. That's a fact. There's several videos that I've been able to watch over the years. Don't ask me to show you links because it's been a long time. It's been many years, but I have seen from time to time. So I've seen it. It's these were like security cam footages and whatnot. So it's possible. Why do I say that the police officer had little to no training? Well, the reason why I say that, I don't know for certain, but the reason why I say that is because what I saw didn't look like, whoa, wow, he's trained. Oh, there's a technique that I recognize. No, it just looked like a wrestling match, okay? And not even like, that would be an insult to wrestlers. It just looked like a struggle. And he looked like he was just acting out of instinct, not because it was something he had practiced and trained. No, that's not what it looked. So that's why I say that, okay? But I could be wrong. That's just my observation, all right? Now, that being said, because of that, those kinds of videos, I feel 100% certain it is possible. I'll never say it's easy. I'll never, ever say anything real life is easy. But it showed me that it's possible, okay? Now the next thing is, in Filipino martial arts, we have our methods. So we use the stick. And then this guy was talking about, in a real life situation against a guy who has a knife, you want to have something like a walking stick. So in there, we're kind of like on the same page. Use a stick. If not, use a police baton type of thing, right? So we're on the same page. And he said what you want to do is you got to actually thrust at the guy and mean it. And you got to really do it hard. You got to step in and really jam that stick into the guy and let him know that you're serious. And then they're not going to be able to come in at you. That's what he said, okay? Now, part of me strongly disagrees with that statement, and that's not necessarily the way we use the stick in Eskrima. And so why do I disagree with that? Well, in the Philippines, general idea is one of the best anti-knife weapons is a stick. It's well known over there, okay? Now, is it the best anti-knife weapon? Opinions will vary, but if the guy takes out a knife and I take out a handgun and shoot the guy, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's going to be much easier for me than using a stick to defend myself against this guy with a knife. I'm pretty sure. But let's not think about the best weapon. Let's think about the least weapon that could still handle a knife. And that's the stick. Okay? So let's think of a sword that's the same length as a stick. Yeah, that's better. For sure, that's better. In fact, that's just a bigger knife. So, of course, it's going to have the advantage. But, once again, I'm not interested in what's the best. I'm interested in the least. So then the stick makes sense. Okay. So to use the stick. So really, the only thing you got there is not even blade or cutting or stabbing capability. It's really just length. You're using length against their weapon. And that's what it's about there. So if you're using length, and then in the Filipino martial arts, that is the idea there. And the relationship between the stick and the knife, the Eskrima stick and the knife, is a very interesting one. So the knife's weakness is the stick. But this is the second part that you might have heard that before, but the second part you may not have heard as much, and it's just as important, which is the stick's weakness is the knife. So the relationship is kind of like a yin and yang, or it's a full circle right there, okay? So that's why in Eskrima we train in both. It gives you a complete understanding of both weapons. So we learn how to use the knife in order to defend against the knife, but we also learn how to use the stick, which is the best anti-knife weapon, and by best, I already explained. And also, the stick's weakness is the knife. So it gives you a much more thorough understanding. It makes total sense to me why we do that, why we train with the sticks, why we train with the knife, because of that relationship right there. So what makes one in an advantage over the other, is distance. And that's why the 4 ranges of combat is so, so important in Eskrima. So in long range, the stick has the advantage. And in close range or short range, the knife has the advantage. Close range is the clinch, by the way. So the knife has the advantage in close range. It's that simple. So then what about medium range? Well, in medium range, it's honestly whoever dishes out damage first, which is usually whoever attacks first wins in medium range. Okay, so medium range is a scary, scary place. So if I hit him on the head, bash him on the head with a stick, that could end it right there. It could, okay? The guy stabs me in the throat. It could end it. If you're medium range, I could bash him on the head or he could stab me in the throat. It's whoever does it first. That's not a very good place to be. That's a scary place to be. And then within medium range, if you're in medium range, but you have a tiny bit of distance, you're not quite in long range, but you kind of have a little bit of distance, then the stick has the advantage. If you're in medium range, but you're a little bit on the closer side, not all the way to the clinch, but a little bit on the closer side of medium range, the knife has the advantage. It's very simple. This is not, rocket science. So that's the idea right there. Okay. So what this guy said was he's going to get the stick and jam it into the guy. He's going to step in. Keyword, he said, you got to step in hard, because I actually know why he said that. Is his instructor was comes from a karate background and was also watching point fighting karate videos, and they were very, very impressed with it. So he was like, man, this is the way to go, and I'm telling you, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but you need to understand the context, and that's what this video is about. I'm not saying he's wrong, I'm right, but I want to say you need to he wasn't thorough in his ideas, in his thinking, and I want to help, so you guys may have that same idea. I'm not saying karate is inferior to eskrima. That is not what this video is about, okay? So if your idea is you're thinking you're going to step in and jam the guy, as hard as you can with your weapon or with your fist, okay, think of what you're doing. If you have a stick, okay, you have the distance advantage. And the stick in the Philippines, considered one of the best anti-knife weapons in long range. If you step in to jab the guy, you just took away your strength and you're going into enemy territory. The knife, the closer you get to the guy, the more advantage the knife guy is going to have. You're going into his strengths. So let's think about that. In the early Ultimate Fighting Championships, right, there were stand-up strikers there. Not everybody there was a grappler. Those stand-up strikers, every single one of them, all the way up to like UFC, I don't even know, easily up to UFC 5, the stand-up strikers got taken down to the ground, and the grapplers were very, very dominant. We can all the way say probably all the way up to like UFC 10, Mark Coleman's era, where the guy dominated and ruled the UFC. So maybe 10, 11, okay, so grapplers were dominating. Well, every stand-up striker probably thought, just like this guy, if this guy tries to come in, just like the knife guy wants to come in close, you know what? You have the stick, or the stand-up strikers are like, I got the stand-up striking. I'm gonna knock the guy out. I'm gonna take him out before he can take me to the ground. Didn't happen, right? It wasn't good enough. It wasn't until later where that was starting to make effect, where a grappler coming in would be, it's a scary thing. They could get knocked out, or they might take the guy to the ground. But either way, it could go 50-50. And by that time, the stand-up strikers also knew how to grapple, so they're like, it's worth it to play that game. It's worth it because I might get the knockout. Yeah, they take me to the ground, but I can survive that. So, but if they time it wrong, I might just end the match right here. It's worth it, or I might hurt the guy really bad as they're trying to take me down. So it's worth it. So that's a different scenario. It evolved to that, and even now, it's even more evolved than that. It's different than that. But so that was probably Pride era, where they were doing flying knees and stuff. That you first started seeing that in the in MMA, or I don't know about first, but you start seeing a lot of that in MMA. So anyway, so what I'm trying to say is, knife guy's trying to come in, and if I thrust and do that, step in and try to hit him as hard as I can with the stick, if you're lucky, it may hit, it may not hit. If you're lucky, it's a 50-50. If you're lucky, right? If not, you just walked into his territory. So in Eskrima, what do? we maintain the distance and we attack the arms. Why the arms? It allows us to keep the distance. Not just that, because if you're trying to hit the body or the head, you got to go in deeper. If you're trying to hit their arm, the arm that's out swinging at you, you can stay a lot further away. And not just that, our goal is if they come in, we're trying to keep the distance. So if they take a step forward, we're taking like 2-3 steps back, because the person moving forward is always faster. So we need extra time and space for that. But if they start closing in, and we're trying our best to keep the distance, but we can't, and they're swinging, they're slashing, they're stabbing, our goal is to move out of the way. Move out of the way and then swipe at their arm. That is defang the snake. Think about that. You're keeping distance to stay safe. Number 2 is you're moving out of the way, once again, to stay safe. You're swiping at the arm, not to destroy the arm. You're swiping at the arm to stay safe. So if their arm's coming, you swipe at it. It's a block, essentially. Okay, you're attacking their arm to block it. Because if you don't move out of the way and you just try to block it, it's not enough. So you're combining moving out of the way and blocking together. But if that block is able to break their bones or numb their arm or cause them to drop the weapon, those are all bonuses. Those are all ideal, perfect situations. I'm not saying those are impossible, but they're not the main thing, because you can't guarantee that. So what you can work on, though, is your safety. So that's why I've also said defang the snake is great, but people have misunderstood it. All over YouTube, I see people misunderstand it. It makes no sense to me if you're stepping in and you're trying to destroy that arm. What if you don't destroy that arm? Then what? Now you just walked into enemy territory. You're close now. You stepped in, and guess who has the advantage? The knife person. Now you're in big trouble. You just lost your advantage. It pretty much, why even have a stick at that point? So at least from this point of view, I'd like to share and help you guys. At least I'm not saying adopt my strategies, adopt my methods, but at least use it to think about it, and also fortify your method, your craft, your style, the way you do things. Use what I presented to you in this video. If you could use it to help make your stuff better in your direction, then that's a good thing. If I could hopefully presented you a little bit of reality, or at least some ideas to help make your style work better for you, or a little bit more realistic for you. So anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.